have a good week, month. Oh, Brian, Brian's cueing us. Okay, now we're actually on. Welcome to YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me just pull up my happy little statement that I must make. Let's see here. Okay, 5:13 agenda. Hello. All right, welcome to the Southborough Historical Commission meeting for Thursday, May 13th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Historical Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. That's my dog, by the way. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website, https://www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner: https://www.southboroughtown.com, remote meetings. No in-person attendance of meetings of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we were unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. There we go. Call the meeting to order at 6:04. Okay. You know, I wonder if anyone's done a parody of that, you know, like they do for airline announcements.
No.
No, not yet. Before we have to stop reading this, someone needs to do a parody of that thing, because I think it could have Saturday Night Live potential. All right, so let us approve the minutes for the March meeting. Do we have the minutes for the March meeting?
No, sir, we do not.
We do not. And it's actually not March. The agenda says March meeting, and that's an error. It should have been the April meeting. So we do not have the minutes for the March meetings were approved last time. So April meetings we do not have, but that's okay, because the next item on the agenda is appointing a new recording secretary. Hooray! And that secretary is David Monroe.
Let me introduce David. David Monroe is a longtime resident of Southborough, been here since 1950. I think he's got just about all of us beat, maybe even some of the parents. Has had a lot of obviously writing and note-taking experience, but more specifically, he's written 2 books. And he's got another one at work. He and I were trading stories about the early word processor machines that were single-purpose things that showed up in 1978, where I remember Lanier was just dedicated to the function. So he's got a long experience with electronic communication. I was also pleased to learn that he worked in the town building and planning areas, wrote the guide for the town website, and just thought he had a great attitude and would be a great assist to us. So Michael, take it away in terms of welcoming David, but maybe David, you want to say a couple words as well? If you unmute. David, you're muted.
Oops, we still don't hear him. David, you're still muted there. Nope.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. I'm having some breakups on occasion on the sound, but I have a digital recorder here to help me out. So hopefully I'll catch all of your wisdom.
Very good. Where you can also find us again on the YouTube channel. So in case you miss any of our pearls of wisdom, they can always be found over there. Welcome very much to the commission.
Thank you.
Okay. 15 Main Street, requested consult from owner on proposed alterations to front facades. Okay, is Ms. Connell around? Rebecca, can you play host for this and bring these folks forward? I think Dave Monroe, let's see, I can maybe do this more. Change role to attendee. Okay, never mind. Rebecca, you want to help me with this? Okay.
Rebecca,
Okay.
you're on mute right now.
Rebecca,
There.
there
Yeah.
you are. Yes, hello. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, okay, so Dave Monroe, okay, we have him up here. All right, where are our little participants out in the audience?
Do you see attendees?
Oh, yes, I always forget to do that. Okay, these two folks need to come forward, Mr. Mark and Ms. Connell.
I have no power to do so.
Oh, okay. Allowed to talk, allowed to talk. Asked to unmute, and let me just see, make co-host. Okay, there, Rebecca, so now you should be.
Now I'm powerful.
All right, now you're powerful. The wand has extended the power. Okay, so are you with us, folks? Mr. Mark, Miss Karen,
You're both muted.
they're both muted.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, and where is our friend Mark?
I'm here. I don't know why it's blank, but
Okay, wait a second.
You should be getting a
Ask to start
request.
video. Oh, hang on, there we go.
not that you're missing out on much, but
No, we're here you now. We can actually see you. Oh, we'd
Oh,
like
good.
the piano. That's pretty cool. Oh, and the dog waiting to get in. Do you want to let your dog in?
oh, he's fine.
Okay, just checking because I've dog battles myself here. Okay, and also, okay, there we go, Karen. Now we can actually probably now see you two as well. This is a later thing. There you are. Okay, all right. So, Mark, you have some plans to show us, I think.
Yes. Do you want me to present it or?
Yeah,
do
if you would be so kind.
Okay. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to make you a co-host, Mark. That should give you the power. Are you with me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see this now?
Yes, we can.
Nice. Yeah, so I think you and I have talked maybe 2 months ago or something, and I was brought into this project after I think Karen had spoke with you guys about potentially altering the facade, and I wasn't 100% sure, where we stood with the process, but and I've since revised the drawings. And what did you have? I sent them earlier today. I don't know if you had any time to look at them.
I did briefly, but I did not have a chance to share them with the folks, which is why I wanted you to walk us through what we're looking at.
Okay. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is find some sort of like middle ground where we can kind of get what we're trying to get, but also obviously keep the proportions and aesthetics of the house. And so like you had mentioned, the fenestration of the layout of the windows and the overall height and stuff. I think our previous rendition was a little out of whack, but now what we're trying to do here basically is essentially we want to keep it exactly how it looks now, but there's things that I know you guys are probably aware of, things like this bay window that is definitely not like original to the house, that we would like to basically remove and put back kind of how the rest of the windows look, the symmetry. But the more we dug into it, if we the framing, we've had the structural engineer look at it. There's been some issues in the house that it's just not like structurally sound. And so the issue that I keep running into is if we start upgrading, renovating the house and upgrading like the floors, because the floors are only like 4 inches thick. And to basically bring them up to code, we're going to have to frame it to today's standards and still maintain a 7-foot ceiling height at least. And so the issue I keep running into, and I'm open to suggestions and what you guys think, but I don't know how we can basically update this house a little bit without adjusting some of the proportions to the front facade because of the floor thicknesses, especially like on the first floor and second floor. It's essentially, if you see like on this elevation here, the red outline is the original height. And I think if we bring the floors up to code, it's going to increase the height by like 2 feet. And so what I had thought of doing is, if we can not only increase the height, but increase the width a little bit to keep the proportions and scale of how it looks now, then it won't appear as big of an alteration as if we just increase the height, because this particular style has got, a height and width proportion that, I think we would want to keep. And so I think that's generally where we're at right now. I don't know if there's any immediate questions.
I don't have any immediate questions. I mean, one thing I do notice is that these window sizes in the in the new proposal are considerably larger than the others. I realize that the sashes as they currently exist are not correct, but is this 6/6 looks a little colonial as opposed to a little federal.
Yeah. Okay.
Just as a swing. I mean, so how much bigger are these windows than the current openings?
I don't know exactly. I just know the current windows, they're like replacement windows. So
obviously
the sashes are huge. And I don't know if there were like those weights. So like,
there were.
Yeah. So like sometimes the replacement windows get really, really small by the time you, like this house that I'm in is like early 1700s house. And so I've run into issues like trying to replace these windows and keep them the same size that they look originally. And so these windows, so technically they are a little bit larger for 2 reasons. One is the sashes are thinner, so we have more glazing. And the other thing is with the scale, if it's slightly wider and taller, I am trying to think of like, basically the windows would get a little bit larger so that the like negative space stays the same. But the mullions or the grills are up for debate whether or not we, have them or not.
Are these articulated panes, or are these just simply the applique kind of mullions?
We wanted to do like the the more authentic ones with like the simulated, I guess, divided light ones.
Yeah. Okay. My only other question on this is first thing is, this door that we have in the secondary, which was now the garage structure, obviously, that's not that crazy style with the half circle. It's obviously not a period door. So, I mean, you're not forced by my mind to keep anything like that. The only other comment I have is that the one thing that I do think is kind of distinctive about this house is that the current front porch, whatever we want to call it, the roof line of the current one is almost an exact duplicate of the actual roof line, as opposed to, and that is I think an interesting, probably, I don't whether or not it's period or not, but it does seem to work aesthetically pretty well.
Oh, you mean this like
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
As opposed to sort of mock Corinthian capital kind of thing. But
yep.
I mean that's my only comment. let's open it up. Oh, by the way, Amanda is going to be late. Is she with us? I can't even see her now, but I meant to say that early on. So, folks, what do you think here?
Mark, I have a question. To accomplish this, and I first of all, I like how the facade is very similar in overall appearance, maybe a little larger, as I understand your reasons for the floor height having to change and all. To accomplish this, are the outside walls going to remain, or do they have to come down and get rebuilt? I mean, to what degree is this a correction versus a rebuild?
I know, and that's that's the ultimate question. And I keep kind of going through this in my head. It's like, obviously we would want to keep the facade as much as we can, including the framing. And then it comes down to, let's say we get down to studs, and my mind is going right to the main floor framing. There's almost no way to frame that so that because right now they're like 3x4 oak joists, and there's like basically no sill there. So it's been rotted all around. And so I'm trying to figure out how, if they would allow us to basically rebuild even the sides over the existing fieldstone foundation or not. And and then it's like a question of the energy efficiency of the house, because the walls are really, really thin. And yeah, so I guess we're not 100% sure yet how much would need to, be rebuilt, because like if you increase the height, of course the windowsills are not gonna, and the headers are not gonna align. So it's like, I think it would be tough to keep a lot of that. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
I mean, guys, I would say that you can presume that very little of this house would actually be the original of this house by the time all was said and done with this, simply because of some of the things delineated, Marcus just described. But as you move this around, you're just not going to be able to you're going to run into all sorts of problems. So I think if you decide to prove this evening, that you can presume that this is by and large a replacement structure sitting essentially on top of the current foundation.
Yeah, and the one thing is, so like Karen and I went back and forth, and I like historic homes. Like I said, I've got a early 1700s farmhouse myself, and so I know all the issues. But this house is in a little bit better shape. But we've gone back and forth, like what things would be appropriate to remove and blah blah blah. And I think ultimately the way I'm seeing this is, I think I might need to adjust these elevations based on what you guys think, but ultimately, I mean, on Main Street, I think if we rebuilt this, more accurately by removing, the bay window thing and the vinyl stuff and, the vinyl siding, I think it would be it'd be really nice on the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all with you on the bay. I've never had a problem with that from the very beginning, because that's obviously just a Victorian tack on. I mean, quirky, but I don't. I have no problem with that. It was mostly the scale of the original proposal that was the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, who else here has questions? Rebecca?
No, I don't. I guess my one question is that this would be essentially a replica of the original house more than a renovation, as you said, right? Most of it will be demolished. So this would require a demo permit?
Yes.
Yeah. We'd be back exactly where we started, the first time around.
So we'd have to I guess we just have to. Okay, I get it.
I was actually discussing this with Mark Purple earlier this evening. The original demo permit has been closed, at least to my knowledge, it has been. So I think it would have to start on a new demolition permit. And however, I do think that we'd have to probably either talk to Aldo or just get some advice on how best to streamline this through. Because if we sort of approve this, then it doesn't need to go through the whole blah, 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 blah all over again. But in the meantime, before that's putting the cart before the horse, let's hear from everybody else. Is that all you have to say, my friend? Okay, Kate, what do you think?
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I'm not muted now. I really appreciate your the time and thoughtful consideration that seems very obvious to me in these plans, especially thinking back to where this started. I personally think it looks really nice, very similar. I agree with, I think I'd love to see that style overhang on the front door, but I really think it's a very thoughtful, similar design, and I think it would really look lovely on Main Street. So I think it looks great.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, who else are we missing? I don't have my list here. Annie, there you are. Annie, there you are. Okay.
So I feel very similar to Kate. I think that you can tell that there's been a lot of intentional effort, put into making these plans resemble the house as much as possible. And I think it actually is more attractive than what was there before in terms of all of the additions over time. I actually didn't really object to the last plan that Karen and her team brought forward, but I think this is very nice, and I think is a good I would say a good compromise between what the homeowner wants to do and what we're tasked to do as a commission in preserving our our history downtown.
Well, there you have it. I have just one more question mark about the garage bay side. Is that just schematic there with those lights above the
Yes.
door? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, no, we wouldn't do those. I think we would do something a little more. Yeah.
Well, so I would be inclined to approve this. I would think. I don't see that there's, I think it is, as everyone has said, a very wholehearted and well-intentioned attempt to try to come to some middle ground that represents the building. To the degree that these elements can be salvaged, I think, I don't know what the interior state is, but I would hope too that, you could salvage as much of, whatever that is viable for the construction. So I think what I would do is have someone propose a motion that we tentatively approve this, have you come back one more time with the final drawings, and that we draw up a short agreement as we did for the folks on Highland Street, essentially just saying, this is what we've agreed to and that you will actually follow these plans. Okay.
Yep.
Very simple. So I don't have any problem with that. Karen, I just have one question for you. Hello, Karen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. So did I hear correctly that you guys had petitioned to move this into the business district, this property?
Why are you asking?
I'm just curious because we're going all this work to do this residential house. I mean, it would it be in the, that seems a interesting request.
Well, you can put the request in an email to me and I'll pass it on
Okay.
to respond to that.
Okay. All right.
I have a question for the board, please, to consider. I think that we can approve these plans now. I don't think that we need to put into any further delays by coming back with another, because the plans that we presented are the plans.
Well, no, we've just made a number of alterations, so I think I would ask that you come back with a final set of plans.
Right, I'm
That's
following.
pretty much.
What alteration?
Well, we've talked about different front entrance. We've talked about actually seeing what the garage doors are going to look like. We've talked about what the side door is going to be. I still have questions about the size of the windows and whether or not, those are locked in space. Just to see the final plans. It's pretty standard to come back with, what is the final version of this before we say, okay, go ahead.
Well, those would be questions of fenestration, correct?
Well, fenestration and final details. For instance, is this presumably going to be clapboard?
Yes.
Yes.
And what about the roof and asphalt? Asphalt shingle or what?
Yes.
Of what type and duration?
I think 30-year, just black, essentially charcoal, something like that.
Okay. I mean, something, given the fact that this roof line is so visible, I mean, something that would have a decent shadow line would be great. Again, this is the same sort of conditions that we asked for 45 Highland Street. Something.
I don't know why you keep referring to 45 Highland Street. That's a completely different situation.
No, it's a similar thing where we negotiated down with the folks about, what the final details of this would be. Again, I think, this is a pretty decent compromise, and you're on the verge of getting what you want. So I would just ask your patience to come give us these final plans.
Excuse me. I want to be clear. This is not what I wanted. I wanted a detached garage. But after listening to the input of the historic board, we came up with this. I compromised to the request of the historic commission.
Well, I don't think we ever said that you couldn't have a detached garage. All I said is that you needed to maintain these front facades. If you would like to have that as the garage space, as living space, that's entirely up to you. And build a secondary garage, that we have no purview over that. So, if there's still time to make those type of changes, if you want to add a separate garage to the property, that is not something that we'd have any quibble with. All we care about is the structure that as it currently exists.
Well, would you be, I guess the whole idea is I want to have a smaller footprint. And so I originally asked the board if I could get rid of the western wall, the part of the house that was added on and not part of the original home. And you were very clear that that was part of the facade and that I had to keep it. That's why we came up with the idea of the attached garage. Am I hearing differently now that since we're compromising, that the board would be open to my having a detached garage and getting rid of the western part of the house?
No, you're not hearing correctly. What we're saying is that we are fine if you use the western part of the house as interior space and add a detached garage onto the project if the zoning allows it. So we're not forcing you to have an interior garage if you don't want one. What we're asking and requesting is that the principal facade and the secondary western facade be maintained. So how they're used internally, that's entirely up to you. It's garage space or not, or whatever. So I just want to be clear about that. Okay, so do I hear a motion to bring this forward? Let me stop the screen sharing here. Mark,
Michael, I would be comfortable making a motion, but could we tentatively approve it? Not assuming, but have a written agreement that they will make those small changes that we discussed, such as the little portico roof, and the garage, the garage lighting, just so they don't have to come back, but it's still written into our agreement somehow?
Oh, yeah, we can do that too. I mean, again, that's what we did. They came back just in a written format to me, just to, to sign off on the final thing. And if the commission is comfortable with that, I'm happy to do that too, so that it doesn't have to come back a second time around. But before we actually sign off on these things, we do actually need to see the final, so that when we say, God forbid, well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, there can't be any question about what was agreed to. So I do think that the final plans need to be put in, and they're going to come back to us in essence anyway, because the final plans will have to be submitted in order to go through the whole building process. But we don't need to do this now. If you guys want to make that motion, that we would tentatively approve these plans with the details that we've suggested, pending written confirmation, that would be fine with me too. Or I'm open to other ideas. So, let me know what you guys want to do here.
The other thing, I see some new members of the board, so thank you for doing what you're doing. I have asked this in the past, but I never received any information. Do you have any original photographs of the house? Or any additional information about the history of the home or the property?
We may. We may at the Historical Society have pictures. I know we have pictures of houses on Main Street and long views of Main Street. I know we don't have anything directly, that shows this house as its focus. But there may be some shots of it in the foreground or background of these other long views up and down Main.
That would be helpful.
We're not officially back at the Historical Society yet. Let's see. Mark, can you stop sharing your screen for me, please?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay. There we go. Back again. Now I can actually see you all. Hello. So yeah, we can look into that. But in the meantime, who's going to make this motion? It is not for me to do.
Annie, do you want to take a stab at it? Because I like the way you described it.
Yeah, so I move that we tentatively accept and approve the plans for 15 Main Street as presented tonight, pending written written agreement of changes as discussed, such as the portico shape above the portico, the lighting of the garage doors, and the side entry door.
Seconded.
All in favor? Well, actually, no, we'll have to do the roll call. So Annie, I presume you're in favor since you made the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Jim?
Yes.
Rebecca Deans-Rowe?
Yes.
Amanda?
Sorry, I just jumped in the middle of that, so I'm not
Okay.
sure what
All right. Well, then I would abstain.
Okay.
I'm not telling you to, but that's what I would do.
I do. I abstain. Yeah, I have no.
Okay.
Yep, I abstain.
And Kate Battles?
Yes.
Okay. Wyson is aye, with the following provisions. We'll get something to you, Karen, that just notes down these qualifications, and then you can get back to us. All righty?
Super. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Michael,
guys.
is Kevin a voting member now?
I'm sorry?
Is Kevin a voting member now?
No, he's just
Oh,
here
okay. Great. Okay.
he's just here as an observer.
Okay.
However, I did get his paperwork into the Board of Selectmen this evening, not this evening, 2 days ago. So he's on his way, pending favorable outcome.
And he said he has an appointment on Tuesday.
He's an appointment on Tuesday.
to
Wow.
appear.
With the BOS?
Yep.
Oh, God bless them. God bless their little hearts. Okay.
We all set?
We're all set. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mark. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Moving on to the Old Burial Ground nomination to the National Register of Historic Places and related discussions. Ms. Rebecca Deans-Rowe.
Yeah, I've been playing phone tag with the assistant for the National Register matters at MHC. But I will have by the next meeting the full information of what we need to do to move forward with this. But I think it would be it's fitting and really wise to move to put this on the National Register, because I feel like it is our most historically significant asset in town. And it should be acknowledged formally. Putting it on the National Register doesn't put any constraints, but it does open it up to some funding potentially. So I can't see any reason not to do it, except that it's a fair amount of work.
More than fair, considerable amount of work and a long process that has the inevitable back, forth. But yes, I'm in total agreement. So I have an additional proposal to you that I'd like to present. Not so much for discussion for this evening, but just introduce it to you. So let me, which is along the same lines. Now let's see here. I have to start doing, God, you know, I've gotten out of practice with ye old Zoom. Can you believe that? All right, can you see my screen now? Yes, okay. Do you see this, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I've been, I watched with a small amount of horror, actually no small amount of horror, the BOS meeting last week about the flags. And I came to the conclusion that I don't think that there is a guiding force or factor that currently either understands the old burial ground or is willing to step up to take care of it. You know, when we had Karen Galligan here a number of months ago, you may remember that she has said that they only have a subcontractor working in the ground and they actively don't enter the site, which means it's under absolutely no town purview whatsoever, other than maybe when disaster strikes. The Southborough Historical Commission, by its state charter, is charged with caring for these places and promoting them and making sure that they are preserved for future generations. And just we are missing a huge opportunity here. Normally, towns, I think, most towns have cemetery committees. And mostly the cemetery committees take care of, you know, obviously things like current burials and things like that. But in towns where they have an old historical asset like this that is not an active site, it is under generally the purview of the historical commission. So I've done some research on this and have pulled together some language that I'd like you to consider. I'll send you a copy of this. I don't think I really want to talk about it tonight. I think it's because it wasn't actually on our agenda the way it says under other matters, but I'll just go through this now briefly. What I'm proposing is that the active care of the town old burial ground be formally transferred to the Historical Commission. That the old burial ground is a premier historical asset of our town and should be nominated or will soon be nominated for the National Register. That the old burial ground is no longer an active burial site and is a civilian, not military cemetery. That the old burial ground is currently not under the active maintenance of the Department of Public Works other than to mow the lawns, with the result that much of the current tree cover is unstable and threatening the remaining gravestones. Another huge branch just dropped the other day and almost took out 3 more stones. That there's been no active replanting of trees for future generations, that annual care and maintenance of the stones is essential, and that there's almost no accurate historical and educational interpretation of the people buried within. And that gets down to the whole crux of this as well. I guess this project of the $300,000 history trail around it is going forward. I don't know where this educational interpretation is coming from. The selectman said something about consulting us. There's been so much work done by the Historical Society and other people here that is not at all reflected within the current old burial ground, either in whether it be banners or even plaques or, things like even just the access to it. It's impossible to get into. The stone walls are crumbling. I would think that this is something that the old burial ground, that the Historical Commission should get very actively involved in. It is, after all, what we do, and this is our premier historical asset. So, and again, this is just a working draft. There's nowhere near anywhere, but the proposed language, the sole responsibility for the care, supervision, and maintenance and interpretation of the old burial ground be vested with said commission, along with the relevant portion of the current DPW budget to maintain the grass and annually assess the stones. The Historical Commission will conduct a complete survey of the current state of the old burial ground and will present plans to remedy problems, increase public access, improve education and signage, and work to restore the historic tree cover that once existed. And this, I think, is the critical factor too. Funds for these projects will be achieved through public-private partnerships, as well as from annual adjustments to the Southborough Historical Commission budget as needed to accomplish said goals. One of the things that's really remarkable about historical commissions in Massachusetts is that they can own their own real property. They can fundraise independently of the town. They can receive and accept donations held for directed services. So I think this is a real opportunity for us to raise money through public-private initiatives to help with this. And I can think of a number of things, people off the top of my head, I might, go to in terms of companies and other things to make donations to this and take some of the burden off the taxpayer. And if we can do that and stabilize the old burial ground, and I do think stabilize is the real word. I think if we did nothing else in the next few years, I think this would be a tremendous thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just introducing this for your thought. We'll actively start to tweak this and to see, what you think about this. I mean, I think it would be fair. We're not going to discuss the specifics, but I mean, just in general, does this have any appeal for you folks? Rebecca?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Kate, what do you think?
Yes, I am. I think it's a great idea, goal. Is the goal for us to present it next spring's annual town meeting or the fall special town meeting?
I think we would present for the special fall town meeting,
Okay.
Simply because there would be, it's a quieter meeting.
Yes.
And also this proposition is revenue neutral. Yeah. So, we're not asking for any additional funds. We're just stealing some of the DPW's budget and that's also up for negotiation if they want to do this. I just, from what Karen said, you may remember they were very hesitant to try to get involved in this because they just didn't feel they had the expertise. We do have the expertise, and we also have the ability to hire the expertise. Mm-hmm. So, let's do what we're tasked to do.
Well, I think it's sort of a natural addition or component of the history walk that is being worked on. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, and I have concerns about that too, because it goes around the burial ground, right. That, of course, as opposed to anything to do with it. So, Annie, what do you think?
I am very much in favor of this, especially in that it formalizes, a charge of the Historical Commission. Even if we're already involved in some of these things, formalizing it, through town meeting and, raising our visibility of what our commission actually does with our, with our constituents, I think is really smart. And, it takes away that gray area, as you mentioned, Michael, Karen pretty much said they don't have the resources to really focus on this. And as volunteers, we may, and I think stewarding our resources, is so important. And if we have to step up as volunteers to formalize that, I think it's a really good idea.
Jim?
I like it. I think, as Annie and Kate said, that Rebecca supported it as a natural extension of what we do. It would make it clear who's responsible and who has the remit, so to speak, for all this. I presume it would help help streamline the responsibility with respect to the veterans and flags. We can take that offline if you prefer, but I mean, that's one hanging chat, if you will, on the whole circumstance. But as a principle, to take this over and preserve it and give it the respect and care that it needs, especially considering that there could be additional funding sources that come from outside, sounds very, very appealing. And it sounds like you're researched enough, Michael, to know that the Historic Commission can indeed do separate fundraising, that we have that ability. That doesn't take BOS approval to do our own.
No, the commission, so when the city town adopts an historical commission, they adopt the language per the state charter. And the historical commission actually has a considerable amount of autonomy. It reports, in the ideal world, directly to the Secretary of State at Mass Historical. It's not beholden, particularly other than through appointment purposes, to the Board of Selectmen. And they were designed to actually act as like essentially public nonprofits to do fundraising. They can actually hold, the commission can actually hold real property, which is also a pretty astounding thing. So if someone gave us a house or something, we could hold it and then sell it and then keep the profits within the historical commission to do historical budgets, historical projects. As opposed to, say, in town finances where someone gives money to the town, it's like spread out, it goes into the general coffer. So we actually have our own individual pot, not that we've ever used it. As a matter of fact, I don't think we've ever accepted a donation of anyone for anything, frankly, except maybe back in the early days when they were, kind of accepting gifts and things and then giving them to the Historical Society. But it's an unused power that I think could be very, very, very effective in making improvements at little or no cost to the taxpayer, and also preserving this asset. So, yeah, I am, but I'm never 100% sure of anything these days, but I would give you a 92%. How does that work?
Accurate enough.
Okay. And Ms. Amanda, what do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I agree with what people ahead of me said, and I think it makes a lot of sense. The way it's laid out here, I think it makes sense, and as Kate said, a natural extension of the Historical Commission.
Great. Well, so then we'll put this on the agenda as a named item for next time. I think also that we need to consult with, I would just make sure that the language is, the legal language is correct. This is obviously a layman's draft, and that, that this would actually, there might be parts of this that are not quite fully flushed out or the way it needs to be. But this is the general essence of it, that we would take control of the old burial ground and then try and in some way, shape or form, get a hand on this. The other thing I would also urge again is that to have a redo of this radar survey that was done. Unfortunately, when they did it, it was just before the dawn of GPS technology became really accurate. So, I mean, now we could actually GPS tag those graves, so we would know precisely where they are. And we could even get Ms. Waters in here. They might be able to, from the records and from the known dates, be able to figure out where some of these unmarked graves are, because we have the cemetery books and we know the order in which they were put in. So there might be some little restoration possible of the probable grave of la la la. And I'd love to see some markers in this thing that tell the story of these people. And some of the markers themselves are now almost illegible. Things that would show actually what they say. Some of them have the most incredible verses. So anyway, all right. So we'll put that on the agenda for next time. And I'll try to do some more homework on this. Before we leave the National Historic Register issue, I did pull the State Register of Historic Places for Southboro. I was appalled. And you know what? I have no one to blame but me on this, because here I've been on this commission longer than some of you are alive practically. And I have never paid much attention to this. I never looked at our entries. I never looked to see anything about it at all. And when I, it's this huge thick book, it's like this thick. And so when I went to go look at it, I had to try to find Southboro because we're on one half of one page in that book with 6 entries total, most of which have to do with the reservoir and dam systems. The only 2 structures on it are the Bradley Mansion, which is up where Sadie Hutt Presidential is, that's original land up there, and 84 Main Street, and that's it.
Michael, what about South Union School? It's on the National Register.
Maybe South Union was on there too, but I mean, there was literally like 2 or 3 buildings. I was going to bring the sheet tonight and I forgot to bring it up. But that's it. There's 6 or 7 items total. And every other town around us has 20, 30, 40, 50 entries on this thing. So people are always telling us to, stay in our lane. So maybe we should get in our lane a little more on this. And what I'd like to try to do is come up with a list of priority properties or locations or sites that we think that should be on this register, not only the old burial ground, but several others. And maybe each of us sort of adopt one of these sites as a project to do the research, to start moving this thing forward. In that way, we can try to, get to some level and place where we should be compared to even our surrounding towns. I was really embarrassed as the chair of the commission. It's like, how did that happen? I've been here since like the mid 90s. Don't know. But and when these things are on the state register, then they have all these potential funding benefits. The other building that's on there is now St. Mark's, the tower, the bell tower. But not even St. Mark's buildings are not on there, or Faith School or any of these things. I mean, nothing, none of the homes, nothing. So I don't know, something that I think that we should bring up again. In the meantime, before the next meeting, let's confirm, Rebecca, so the state register, you said the state register is essentially the national register.
Correct.
Maybe I don't know. Did you think they really filled out national registration forms for those dams and things? Maybe the MDC did. I mean, because there's a lot of it is the reservoir mechanisms.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, okay, so that's that. All right. Anyone else on thoughts about that? Any other comments? Okay.
I just have one quick question. I'm very much in support of, at getting the old burial ground on the National Register. Do we need to take a vote on that tonight so we can start that process, or table that for a future meeting? Kind of what's the next step for that?
My feeling is that we don't know enough about the process yet to vote on it.
Okay.
And I don't know, Michael. I mean, I think if I come back next time and outline it for everyone, what we have to do.
I think it's fair to say that we have unanimous support for moving forward on this. But I agree. I think we should wait to see exactly what is required. The paperwork is fairly dense.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this yesterday with Peter Quirk, and he's saying, oh yeah, I remember when Kay was doing this. It's like, it's on these forms where, it's on these old, they haven't updated the forms since the 90s. So every time you type something, it's on these old word forms. Every time you type 2 extra words, the entire thing is knocked out of sequence, so I don't know, I hope it's not quite that, but I've seen the reports for the Bradley house and they're about 20 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
To give you some indication, and they require photographic evidence. It's not the thing of the day, but on the other hand, I think we've been really remiss in doing this and documenting this stuff. So okay, anybody else, my friends? Anybody else have anything to add on this? Okay, housekeeping. Our lovely Kate Battles, treasurer's report, signs and other budgetary items. Take it away, Kate Battles.
Just so everybody knows, the fiscal year ends on June 30th. I still have several more internet bills to pay, as well as recording secretary services. I haven't received pricing yet, but I'm going to work on getting the pricing from Bob Leonard, the gentleman who does our historic signs, to do the sign for the exterior of the museum. And then, as we did last year, I'd like to propose that we also buy a few more, and do that maybe at our next meeting, before the budget comes to an end, is purchase a few more of the signs, the historic house signs from our artisan, just because it's been a really pleasant process, and I think a really positive process to gift some of those signs to the 3 homeowners that we've done it to so far. So we did that last year as we bought a number of them, and my proposition is to, between getting a new sign for the Historic Museum and then a few others with what our budget will allow, to gift those to people.
Yeah, and I will imagine that that sign for the Historical Museum is not going to be inexpensive.
Agreed. So, yes, so I will have those numbers, and I assume we're gonna line up a June meeting.
Yes.
So I will have that information for that, and then we'll know what our budget really looks like pretty close to the penny. And I just wanted to put that in people's brain to consider also purchasing a few more, if our budget allows, a few more signs to gift to people.
That's great. Are we off the hook for the internet?
I have to keep paying them, I'm sure. I haven't heard that we're done yet. And the same with water, is I have to finish through June 30th. Whatever we do will be going forward in the next fiscal year. I haven't gotten the final when it's done yet, but I do know that they were working on that for us.
Okay. Also, I think we owe Ms. Battles a little small round of applause for another seamless election that had quite a large turnout, actually, for a off-season election. Well done, Kate. You just
Thank you.
help keep our democracy running in no small way. So
I can't really take a whole lot of credit, but I do enjoy doing it. I do love to be a part of it.
all right, and we thank you. We thank you for that.
Indeed. Kate, just to follow up on the signs, I think a meeting or two ago, we were talking about a more extended description for the Burnett House, if I remember correctly. Has that been sorted out, and is it on the way to being built, or is that still up in the air?
That's totally still up in the air.
Oh yeah, that was for what he wants for his QR code, right? That's a separate thing.
That's actually a historical society agenda item.
Okay.
Also, there's he kind of got ahead of us. There's a big sign out there already, in case you haven't seen it.
I did see.
We love John. We love John. Okay. Reports from commissioners on other news relevant to the Southborough Historical Commission from other town boards and committees. Annie, what's going on your way?
Yep. So the CPC met last week or 2 weeks ago, just finalizing, language for town meeting, and starting to work on MOUs, a memorandum of understanding forms for the projects that we are recommending move forward. Of course, pending vote at town meeting on the 22nd. So I'll just say, I encourage everyone, to attend town meeting and vote. There's a lot of projects, historical projects in particular, that are on the warrant this year. So, some of them I believe will have quite a bit of conversation at town meeting. And
how diplomatic of you.
and I think the more we can engage, the better. So yeah, not a whole lot of updates at this time, but we're very close to town meeting. The commission, the CPC committee has been meeting regularly, and a lot of work has gone into getting us to this point. So I think we're all looking forward to seeing the results on May 22nd.
And I would second that, and let your friends that have interested in historical things do come out. I think some of these are going to actually do have, especially the St. Mark's Bell Tower, quite a bit of spirited discussion, if any of the comments on the blog have been accurate. So come out for historic preservation, ladies and gentlemen, and bring lunch. Are you serving lunch, Kate?
No, we are not serving lunch, unfortunately.
Oh my
We're-
God.
So pack your own lunch. There's going to be a break for lunch. I was going to say it ran really smoothly last year. I'll be working it again with my kids. So,
I think you guys, you are missing out here. You should just roll up the food trucks.
well, we did try actually. Jim did try, and they just, it was too risky for the food trucks to determine whether people would be interested or not.
Oh, you're kidding. They would just they have a captive business for like 8 hours. My God, they'd sell out of everything.
I know, but yeah, they decided not, and actually it was the food trucks that decided not to do it, not to participate.
Oh my God, we
I
need to
did
get
hear a
them.
rumor that an ice cream truck might come, but I can't remember. That tremendous might come.
Maybe they'll think it'll come with a little ding dongs while they're reading the town budget. That'll at least liven it up.
Yeah, I know, right? Mhm.
Oh my God, they totally missed out. I think, is it too late to organize a historical commission food truck? We could go
I
raise
know,
money,
that's fun.
raise the money for the old burial ground.
I know, I'll make some food and I'll sell it. There might be a conflict of interest there, but.
Oh my God. I'll tell you. Well, I have one sad bit of news that I learned today. Our dear Amanda is going to be leaving us at the end of her June term. She has done a lovely service for us over the last few years at a particularly trying time when not all of this has been overly pleasant, our new normal jovial selves, and especially during this time of COVID. But we thank her. We wish her the best moving forward. And you still have one more meeting with us, my dear. You're not getting away quite yet. So
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that.
yeah,
And
July
thank you to
1st.
everyone else. It's been a pleasure. I wish I could stay on, but I think it's best that I go at this point.
Well, that's fine. We have a replacement waiting behind you in the wings. But I will say, I was hoping, just for once, while I was actually here, that we had 7 full members.
Full commission. Yeah.
Ah, yes, that's right. We have to keep our recruiting eyes open to wheel these folks in. Okay. Anyone else have any other business that they would like to bring up? Thoughts, suggestions? I'm here and ready to listen.
Well, I just wanted to give David Monroe a chance to say hello. He was on mute when he first joined. Does anybody have any questions for David or want to get acquainted at all? David, anything you want to say?
I have one question. When I get these meetings typed up, who do I send them to?
So what you will do is send them to, who wants to get these meetings minutes? I think Rebecca. I nominate Rebecca. And then Rebecca will distribute them out to us. So what happens is you send it to us. Actually, you send it to all of us first. For corrections. Ajax, be quiet. For corrections or revisions. And then we send them back to you before the meeting. And then we vote on them at the meeting and approve them. And if they're approved, then you just send them on to town hall. There's a simple email address, meetings@southboromass.com, and that's where they go. But we can walk you through that process. So for the first time around, why don't you just send them to me, and I'll, you have my email address, or I can send it again, and then I'll distribute it out to and Rebecca too, and then we'll distribute it out, and then and get back to you with any go-arounds.
Okay.
Is that
Can I say one thing?
It'll all settle down.
okay? All right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
David, you and I will need to work with the town accountant to make sure that you get paid. Since you have my email address at this point, would you shoot me an email, and then I will send a joint email to myself and Heidi Lindsay so that we can get all your paperwork done.
Okay, I will do that.
That'd be great.
Very good.
And David, I'm a recording secretary for a couple other meetings. So if you need, I'm happy to send you a template or send you in any direction that you need. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, Kate is.
Oh,
Kate is the.
Yeah, if you have a
lawyer.
template that everyone is generally used to, if you can send that, I would be glad to fit everything into that. Sure.
Sure.
Fantastic.
If you just shoot me an email, then I'll send that to you.
Okay.
And Rebecca, you do need to give us those minutes for the last time,
Yes, I will.
because
Can I just,
They will be sending me an email very, very soon saying, where are the minutes from the last meeting? You know, state law says within 45 days. So yeah, our good friends at the clerk's office.
It might actually come from Olivia because she's doing some of that right now.
Oh, great. I'm not taking any sass from her.
I know. She sends me emails too. I'm like, what? Yeah.
No sass from your daughter. I
know.
draw the line at that. I mean, oh Lord.
I want to
because
wish
of
Kevin
Renee.
good luck on Tuesday.
Oh yes. Good luck, Kevin.
Yes, good luck, Kevin. Into the firing squad you go. No, it'll be fine. They're nice folks, and it all will be well.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other business that may legally come before the commission with the understanding that substantive deliberation may need to be postponed to a subsequent meeting to accommodate open meeting law.
Should we set a
Michael,
meeting date for June?
Ah, yes. Any other business? See, there she is, keeping me on my toes. Okay. A date for June. How about, how about June 10th?
I cannot do that date.
How about June 17th?
Wait, I have my calendar that we have the 17th already reserved.
Oh,
I thought we may have done these dates too, but then
Oh.
I didn't get them from Gene before he left and I lost. So are we on June 17th? I'll just put it in here now.
Yeah.
works for me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we're meeting on the 17th. Did we have a July date? It would have been the 15th, presumably.
Oh goodness, that's too far out for me.
That's what I have in my calendar. I must have.
Look at you people.
Well, I will honestly say, historically,
Yeah.
the Historical Commission has taken July and August off if there's been no hugely pending business. I don't know if we can do that this year, considering we might have this article, but we could probably take off July unless there's something that, you know, we need to meet about. So why don't we tentatively say the 15th? And if there's nothing on our slate, you know, terrifically, just July always was, although this year with COVID, maybe not, but July was always a terrible month to try to, in August to some degree, to try to schedule. So we say the 15th tentatively, and if there's a light schedule, we'll move it to August. Does that sound reasonable?
That's great. Mhm.
Okay.
So I actually just paged through my calendar. It actually looks like we set dates through December.
Yeah.
So
I don't have any of them. Okay, all right. So Annie, you're the only one that's on board here. So what did we say for August?
The August 19th. Yeah,
Okay.
Rebecca's on board too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the only one that's not on board. Okay, let's see. Okay. September.
September 16th.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought we did this. I just didn't have it in my calendar.
We did.
Okay, 14th presumably.
Yep.
October. November.
18th.
Okay. God, maybe we'll be meeting in person by then. Wouldn't that be nice? We'd have a little Thanksgiving feast. And December 16th?
Correct.
Okay. There we go. All right. Okay, good. All right. Well, unless I hear any objections, I will move that we adjourn for the evening.
Michael, just one follow-up. With Jason Montillo on board now as IT manager, is it the right time for me to engage with them about the building permit online process? Anything we should tackle there?
You can try. I have talked pretty much. I will honestly say one interesting thing about running for selectman is that you suddenly get to know about all sorts of things you never knew about before. And I now know that every single town board, entity, and group has a backlog of issues about 5 miles long that they're trying to get taken care of. So where we would potentially be on that, obviously the building department would be a fairly high priority. You know, here's what I would do. Lisa, when I spoke to Lisa Braccio, she said that she would make it a priority that this business with the building department would get sorted out in terms of their permitting and stuff like that. You want to reach out to her?
Okay.
And Mark Purple and see where they are on that. because, what I said to them is that we weren't interested in sort of solving their issues for them. We had enough on our own plate, but we were interested in getting a realistic interface going, because the current system is that all of this stuff is now sent to Mark Purple and he sends it to me. It's gotten even worse than it was previously. I don't think that we're missing anything, because I've gotten some small things that have been, totally not relevant. But as they say in all those war movies, confidence is low. Confidence is low. So I don't know. I would do the outreach and see whether or not, because she seemed genuinely interested in resolving that. So
All right, I'll follow up and I'll report back.
okay. All right. Well, what is that term I always keep forgetting, Rebecca, that Joe used to say, without dissent? No, what was that?
Hearing none.
Yeah, but was something before it, hearing none.
Any just, I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Well, having proposed that we adjourn and hearing no dissent, I move that we adjourn by unanimous consent this meeting of the Southborough Historical Commission on this day of May the 13th, 2021. Oops, yes, Ajax says aye. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for coming this evening. I so appreciate your help and enthusiasm as always. I think a lot of good work happened today, and looking forward to seeing you back here next time on the Southborough Historical Commission.
Thanks, Michael.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, it's
Goodbye,
good to see you
everybody.
all.
Goodbye.
So everybody.